Hi there, and welcome to the Multiply You podcast, where we showcase top experts in their space and reveal all the secrets you need to know to multiply you.
Hey, happy Friday, everybody. Austin Clark here. I am the host of the Multiply You podcast. Very excited for the guest that we've got with us today, Adi Klevit. She is fantastic. She was introduced, we were introduced by a mutual friend, and we are very, very passionate about a lot of the same things. And so she'll speak to us a lot about systems and processes and doing more with less and being more effective and efficient in a lot of the job roles and functions that we find ourselves doing day in, day out, over and over and over. Before I introduce her, this episode, as they all are, it's brought to you by Moxie Pest Control. Moxie Pest Control, we're in the growth business. We're growing a lot right now. We're very fortunate to be able to do that, and we want to continue to do that. We grow all the same ways that you grow, whether it's traditional marketing, SEO, PPC, social. More recently, we've started growing via acquisition, and that's been new and it's been fun. We've had a lot of very successful transactions, if you will. And so if anyone is out there and they're listening, specifically in the Arizona market, and you either own a pest control company or know somebody that owns a pest control company that's looking to be able to transition on into the next chapter of their life, please put them in contact with me. They can reach out to me directly at aclark@moxiepestcontrol.com. They can also reach out to me by calling me or shooting me a text. My cell's 480-254-9730. And in fact, I was just on a call today with a couple that owns a really reputable company. They've been in business for 20 years. It's a great brand. They have 3 children, and their third child in line is 18, almost out of the house. And so these are the opportunities that I'm talking about. They're looking to be able to move out of state and do something a little bit different. And so we found that we've been a great place to be able to park business, and we pay top dollar for it. So have them get in contact with me. Without further ado, I want to recognize and introduce Adi Klevit. And I think we're just going to have a whole lot of fun today. Let me scroll down here. I lost my place. There we go.
Well, thank you, Austin, for having me, first of all.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for being on. We're just gonna have a blast. Adi is the CEO of the Business Success Consulting Group, where she helps businesses scale and grow by implementing efficient business infrastructure, processes, and systems. Their company is made up of experts in creating, documenting, and implementing processes and procedures for small and mid-sized companies who either want to scale or expand their business, or those who are gearing up for transition. With Adi's background in industrial engineering, she has worked with various corporations in different industries and has helped them take their business to the next level. Thank you so much for being on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Austin, and thank you for the introduction. And I think it's really exciting that you are doing all these acquisitions, and people are now there are a lot of change, right? People are evaluating where they're at, what do they want to do with their lives, what's the next chapter. So I really think it's a great, exciting opportunity for the people that want to sell, and obviously for you.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. It's just really an interesting time in the world right now, kind of hopefully as the pandemic is in the past. I mean, there's still a lot of things that are unknown. I mean, the real estate market is just going crazy right now. People are moving every single day, and there's just a lot of I wouldn't say necessarily unrest, but there's just a lot up in the air. And like you said, people are really evaluating and reevaluating where they are, where they want to be, and sometimes that brings change in careers, or change in what their focus is, or change in where they live and what they're doing. So
absolutely,
lots of things happening. So tell us a little bit. I like to introduce our guests and kind of learn a little bit more about where they've been and kind of what's brought them to this point. Tell us a little bit, Adi, of your story and some of your background.
Absolutely. So my background, as you said, is industrial engineering. Started with that career for about 25 years ago. And I was working at that time for an industrial engineering consulting company. And we did projects with big companies, Fortune 100 companies. And from there, I did different things and started my own company 10 years ago. And really, we are concentrating on process documentation, process creation, and creating systems for businesses. And we love to work with businesses, just like what you are describing, like your business and the businesses that are out there in terms of that they have a growth mindset, that they want to acquire, they want to grow, they want to expand. That's what excites me, is working with people that really want to get to the next level. When they tell me, my goal is to 10x my business or 30x my business, or I want to grow exponentially, that is exciting. And I love putting systems for businesses like that. I also like to work with businesses that are in a transition. So, for instance, somebody wants to sell their business 2-3 years from now, and they know that they need systems in order to do that. I absolutely love to do that. So it's a combination from a business that is right now totally in a drive to grow, or a business that has in some kind of a transition. It is in some kind of a transition.
So, oh my gosh, we could talk for 5 hours, but we're not going to do that. I really.
We're probably going to do it in a sequence, in sequential. So we're going to talk now about a certain thing, and then we can talk in the sequel, then part 2, and then part 3.
We'll have to have you on regularly. So, what was it? I mean, 10 years ago, was there something that happened that made you make that transition, or what was it like when you formed the company that you own now, or that you're the CEO? How did that transition from industrial engineering to what you're doing now happen?
Well, it's on the same line of work, and I realized that I'm really good at that. That's what I like to do. That's my passion. And it's one of those points in life where you go, okay, it's either I do it now or I will never do it. So I decided, I can do it. I will just start and apply what I know and see where we go, or make it go in that direction that I wanted it to go. And it's been great.
So you have a lot of experience now. You guys have many, 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 many clients. What would you say are the top 3 things? I mean, you probably drive down the street and are able to point at different businesses and just know, because of your experience, they have an issue with their system as far as it relates to payroll. They might have a systematic issue or problem with HR or onboarding, or I mean, what are the things that, without even going inside of a business or having an exploratory call, what are the top 3 things that that you can help with, or that businesses struggle with at every level?
We help with the systems, right? So I would say that the common denominator is having systems in place that can be duplicated, that are used by everyone, that are followed by all, and that are simple to understand and follow, right? So I think the main, if I can have a common denominator, it's basically having the systems and having those systems being followed. So not just sitting somewhere accumulating dust or electronic dust, right? So that is more of the generic answer. In terms of specific, it's really tailor-made to the business. I always find we always start at a point where I need to find what is the starting point, where is the biggest pain point, and what point, if that business had well-documented processes and procedures, they will thrive, or they won't have that problem anymore. So for some, it can be onboarding new employees and training. For some, it can be sales. For some, it can be the operations. So I do that exploratory phase to find out, to discover what is that step to start at. But eventually, we need to document everything. So it really depends just the order where we start, because let's say you document the marketing, or you create processes for marketing, and all of a sudden, sales go up, right? Because marketing, you have more leads and you can sell. Now you are faced with a problem. If you don't have the systems for the operation part, you are faced with, how am I going to deliver, right? How am I going to actually be able to service all the leads that are coming in? So it's very important to actually have that operations documented and systematized. So then if you have more leads coming from marketing, you can actually service them. And then, of course, that with that comes also customer service, the lead intake, the follow-up, etc. So all the systems have to work well together. Otherwise, there is an imbalance. So what we try to do when we first start on a project is figure out where the imbalance is, fix that, and then move to the rest of the organization.
And so I like that you said like electronic dust. Because
that's actually a term that was termed from one of my clients.
Oh, was it? Yeah, I think that we have a lot of electronic dust here at Moxie, and so I mean I can think of a couple of either processes here right now that are broken, or don't exist, or perhaps maybe the biggest disconnect is just that everyone is constantly following them, and so how do you bridge the gap? To you and your firm of, hey, we've it sounds like we've got this challenge, we've identified it. There either is a system in place or there's not. So if there is, we need to improve it. If there's not, we need to create it. And this is the desired outcome, right? So if this, then this, if this, then this. And so how do you get everyone that touches that process to be able to follow it? You have employees that come and go, you know what I mean? What is the training process like? Or do they just have access to your platform? Where, how does all that work?
Sure. So yeah, of course, we have a process on how to document the process. I was actually joking about it with someone today. So our process is basically we identify the area that we'll start with, and then we identify where we're going to document the processes. So what we do is we usually use an online platform to document the processes. Now, we work with our clients. If they have a platform that works for them and they really like it, we'll use that particular platform. If not, we will recommend the platform. So we like Sweet Process. We like usewell.io. So we will basically find the platform that works, and then we will document the processes and procedures on that platform. Now, the problem is what I see when people start using the platforms without having a plan, then you just have an accumulation of dust again, because you just start writing random processes here and there and nobody's using it, or some people use it, but not all. So for me, for us, the most important thing is to actually have a design of the platform or design of the processes, meaning we need to map the processes that we are documenting from beginning to end, from point A to point B. Let's take an example. For instance, we're documenting a sales process. So we're going to start at the beginning with the lead intake and figure out all the steps of where do you get the lead from? How do you take the lead? Like, let's say in a construction company or a contractor, how do you take the lead? How do you get all the information that you need about the lead, etc.? Then how do you qualify the lead? From there, what do you do in order to schedule the estimate? How do you do the estimate? From the estimate, it goes into creating the bid, presenting the proposal, closing, and then the onboarding, the pass to the installation department, the operation department, whatever it is, right? So that would be an example of a sales process. So first of all, we interview the estimators, we interview whomever is in charge of the sales process to figure out what is the sales process for that company, and we map it. Now, even if you say, well, we don't have the sales process documented, that's right, that's why we're there, but you have a process. We always have a process. We have a process when we wake up in the morning, we make coffee, we have a process. We might not have it documented, but it's there. So first of all, we document the existing process of how it is. We will always recommend, when appropriate, we will recommend any improvements. So anything that can be done differently. For instance, I just got off a call with a client. We mapped the sales process. And then I asked, well, we can actually automate that part. What do you think about that? He goes, wow, yes, that will save a lot of time. So that will be the recommendations. So from there, we will start the documentation process. So we will work with the people that are doing it day in and day out, together with our experience, and interview them, ask questions, have them observe, have them show us things, and then we will write the process. And we will write a process using videos. We're very big on using videos, screenshots, obviously writing it, etc. So we'll have the processes written. we will have each team member review the processes. Because let's say we have a team of 5 people on that team, we are going to basically have each one take part of documenting several procedures. And then we will have the entire team review all the procedures. So then we have a collaborative approach that everyone looks at what was documented. And then once it gets approved, then we basically roll it out to the entire company. So because we are using an online platform, it has also the ability to assign specific procedures to specific people and make sure that they actually can sign it off, that they read it. And that way we have a record that everyone actually read the procedures. Because that's what I encounter is sometimes people have SOPs, but other team members didn't read it, so they don't even know it exists. So that's the first thing in terms of implementation is read it and make sure that there are no comments, no questions, etc. Everyone reads the procedures. Then it's up to the senior management to start implementing it and making it part of the culture. So we coach them on how to do that. So that means that we take it into the meetings, the executive meetings, the team meetings, so that the subject of processes have to be brought up. Every issue that you discuss in the company, well, the question to ask, do we have a process for that? Okay, so let's say, for instance, you had an appointment with a client and the appointment got missed by the technician. Okay, well, is there a process on how to go to an appointment or how to schedule an appointment? If there is, let's pull up the process, read it, and see if anything there got violated, or maybe something is missing from the process so we can incorporate it. If the process doesn't exist, the first thing we're going to do is write a process so it exists and doesn't happen again. And again, have everyone that was involved read it and then start applying it. So I know it's a very long answer, but that's basically how we get it implemented. It's everybody has to know, everybody has to apply, and it's being utilized consistently in the company. And if something is missing, then we have a process on how to write a missing policy or a missing process.
Well, and I think the thing that resonated the most with me that you said is the collaboration piece. And so all of this is really good and really great. And you may have the best process written out and documented in the world, but if it's printed out and put into a manila folder and then put into a drawer and no one knows about it, then no one knows about it, right? And,
correct.
If you want to get a teammate or team members or coworkers buy-in, have them involved in that. I was on the other day, and I had used the term with a friend, drinking the Kool-Aid. And he said, Austin, I don't really like that term a whole lot because it has kind of this image of this person with a vat of Kool-Aid that is pouring it onto or into. And so that was kind of a really interesting visual for me. He said, we want people swimming in the Kool-Aid. We want people involved in making it. And so if you want buy-in, involve them in not just drinking the Kool-Aid, but making it. And there will be, I would imagine, a sense of pride. Hey, I helped write that piece of the process.
Oh,
it's
for sure.
important because, right? And you imagine when either new team members are coming on or when someone's transferring from this department to this department, or their lead or whoever it is training them on the process, they'll have a little bit more buy-in because they were involved in the secret sauce and in the recipe.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up buy-in, because that's the first thing that we do is we always start with a survey of the team we're going to be working with in regards to how they feel about processes and procedures. What do they have right now? What is their vision in terms of how would processes and procedures, well-documented processes and procedures will help them, etc. So we can actually get the buy-in. I really look at engaging in a process documentation project as a marketing campaign. You have to market it to the people in the company. Because if you go to them and you say, okay, now we're going to go document, who's going to say yay? Maybe I will, but maybe you will, but maybe there will be 10%, but the rest of them will go, oh my gosh, where am I going to find time to do that with everything else that I have going on? So we really need to find out their why of why well-documented processes and procedures will help them achieve their own goals, whatever they are, right? So whether it is they have to train new team members and it takes them a lot of time and it pulls them away from their position. Whether it's because they see things are not being done in a consistent manner. Maybe they want to be promoted and they just are looking at how the training is being done in the company and it's not good enough. And they know it will take them a long time to actually be able to do the next position that they want to do. So different people have different reasons. And maybe some are overworked and they just don't want to be overworked anymore. And they want to have more free time to, they want to be able to go home at 5:00 as opposed to stay later. It really depends on the motivation of each and every individual. And we find it first so we can actually engage the people and say, yes, if we're going to do this project together and we're going to document the processes and procedures, this is the goal that we have in mind. This is our mountain. This is where we're going. This is what we're going for. And if at any point in the project we're not going towards that, then we have to readjust because something is not going as expected.
So let's take your average company or your average client. What are the expected outcomes? People hire you, Adi, in your firm to do a consultation, to do an audit. There's probably a certain level or lack of documentation already, and then implementation already. What is that further down the road? Is that a 6-month commitment? Is it a 2-year thing? Is it an ongoing relationship? After engaging or 6 months or whatever it is, what can companies expect of where they could be? And I understand that probably has a lot to do with buy-in and how engaged that they are and how well they're doing at marketing it to employees and people and involving them. But what could a firm or a company expect after working with your firm for a designated period of time?
Yes. So first of all, in terms of the time commitment, there is no really a specific time commitment because it depends on the company itself. Sometimes we have people in the company that are very good integrators, that are very good they're very process oriented, and they just need a little bit of a kick, and then they can take it forward, right? So that will be like a month or 2 of consultation. Sometimes we have a company that even if they have those people, they don't have the time, or they don't have people that are process oriented. So then we are the ones who are basically managing the project and making it. So that can take anywhere from 6 months to a year, 2 years. We have clients that have been, now we're on the 3rd year of the project because it's a big company and there is a lot to do. So that's in terms of the time commitment. What they can expect, obviously it depends on the scope that we agree on, but it's always well-documented processes and procedures in a very clear and simple way, documented in a clear and simple way that are being followed by all. Now, I can't guarantee followed by all if I'm not there, if it's a short engagement, but usually I will work on the coaching, the trainers on how to get it followed by all, because that is really the ultimate goal. If it's not followed and not being executed, we didn't do our job, right? There is no point, again, going back to the electronic dust. That's all it will be. It will be an expensive project that accumulates electronic dust. We don't want that. We want it to be a living, breathing document that people are referring to, that go to it. They are being reviewed and revised in a very timely, on a certain rhythm, like every quarter, every 6 months, once a year, etc. And it's actually being used.
And so my mind goes to, so at Moxie, we do training every single day, Monday through Saturday. Every single employee that is on for that day receives 15 to 20 to sometimes up to 30 minutes of instruction. Okay. Beautiful. And it's a humongous investment. It's a very, very big commitment. I'm just unsure of any other way to be able to get our people up to speed as quickly as we do and performing as well as they do in a short amount of time. But when you said updating, it made me think that we have our standardized trainings. We have some one-off type trainings. We have cultural type trainings, policy type trainings. I'm in the pest control business. And so we'll sometimes do trainings on different insects or biology or products or labels or active ingredients. But things are evolving and things do change. And so how cumbersome, let's say that we get this process in place for training, but it does require a certain level of maintenance to update documents or procedures. What does that look like? Is it something that's easy to be able to edit, like and I'm not familiar with Suite process, but I will after this. But what does I mean the maintenance for some of those things that need to be current look like? Is it a simple thing?
It is. I mean, I don't think it's complicated. You just have to, again, have a process for it. So you have somebody that is in charge of it. You have to have the discipline that every time, let's say you buy a new product, then you will create a procedure for it in order to train on that product, right? Because you have to look at all the ways where the training or the processes are going to be out of present time, right? So that will basically happen when you introduce new products or new services and you don't document it, when you introduce a new software and you don't document it, when you decide to do some process improvement and you don't document it. So let's say, for instance, you realize that your sales process is not as efficient as it can be, and you decided to do something else. So maybe your scheduling process changes, right? You decided to implement a new software, or let's say, for instance, right now you bought a new application where the client gets a text, the technician texts the client before they are arriving to their home. Well, if that needs to be documented now because it's a change. So you have to be very aware of change. Whenever change happens, you have to ask yourself, did I document it? And then you document it as part of your procedure. And then you keep it up to date. But also have then a quarterly or every 6 months review where specific people are going to get assigned specific procedures. They go through it. Should be pretty fast because the team wrote it. They know what's written. They got trained on it. And they have to sign off on it. And that's why, again, I like those tools, the electronic tools, because it's very easy. And I'll show you after the show. I'll show you how easy it is. All you need to do is assign a task, have them sign it. I just got off a call with a client where we revised 5 procedures, and then he assigned it as a task to the people that are responsible for those procedures to make sure that they read it, and actually there were specific steps that we needed to update with pictures, so they're going to take pictures and update it.
Who, Adi, are your favorite clients to work with? What characteristics do they have? I mean, if they want to win with you in your firm, how do they need to be? What characteristics do they have? Who do you see succeed the most when engaging with you?
Entrepreneurs, founders that are growth oriented, that are success driven, really, that they want to be successful and they want to grow and they want to scale, but also that they really care. They care about their employees. They care about people around them. They care about what they do. Because, I'll give you an example. I was working one time, I had a client that, it wasn't a good fit because that person could not see how doing processes, documenting the processes will benefit the employees, right? It was more focused about themselves. That does not work. You have to be able to empower the people around you, right? Like what you're doing. You said it's a big expense to do the training. It is a big expense, but you want to empower the people around you. You have to look at the people around you as part of your group, as an extension of yourself, and realize that you are responsible for their livelihood as much as for yourself, and that you're also responsible for giving great results for your customers. So when you see that, when you have that 360-degree view and responsibility, then it is a successful business and a successful owner to work with, because they're willing to invest, they're willing to think about the people around them, and they want to empower them. And the way to empower is basically to give people the information of how they should, what do you expect from them, and how they should be doing their work.
Yeah, applied knowledge is power, right? It's not just knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is power. And I need to correct myself too. I said that it is a big cost and expense, and it is, but it is an investment at the end of the day. And I see the way that our people interact with our customers in a warm, good, genuine way, but that's backed with processes so that our customers have the same experience each and every time they either call or expect a service person at their home. It is really reassuring for them to know what they're going to expect. we've talked a lot about processes. What is your favorite process, Adi?
I like them all. I mean, I don't like in terms of documenting, it really depends. I like the process that brings the biggest return, the biggest help, the biggest relief for a business owner. So I like to document them all. I don't have anything in particular and one that I like best more than others. I really enjoy documenting onboarding procedures. They're fun because we make it fun, right? I mean, it's an opportunity to learn about the company, to learn about the culture because we incorporate it into the onboarding. That's always fun. I love documenting sales processes. I love documenting quality control processes. I like documenting operations because I learn about the different businesses. So really, I like them all. No favorites.
You love
Just
them
like
all.
kids. Yeah, I love them all.
They're all good.
They're all good.
You're in the business of documentation and processes. Tell us something, if you would, about a process or a system in your business right now that is either broken or needs to be improved, or is everything perfect at your firm?
Of course, it's not perfect. And what do you say about, it's kind of like, it's the cobbler's children walk barefoot, but no, we do have processes and procedures. So in terms of improvement, so right now we are working on improving. I started a podcast as well, and we wrote a process for it. And we realized that there was a link there that was not working because there was a lack of communication between myself and my assistant and the marketing person. So we just implemented a communication. We implemented something in the process where now it's smooth. It just moved from one to another. So we all have our roles. So we know that we have the role of the pre-interview and preparing for it. Then we have all the things that are needed to be done in order to publish the podcast. And then after it's being published, to reach the outreach after that. But of course, I just want to give a shout out to Jeremy Wise and John Corcoran, because from Rise 25, just like you, they are helping me with my podcast. So they're doing a fantastic job and making the entire process much easier. But still, we have our internal process. So we're working on that right now.
Incredible. Yeah, those guys are great. As we kind of start, Adi, to round this out, where does someone like you turn for education? Meaning, how do you continue to lead your organization and stay relevant? You have favorite books, or what do you like to listen to? How do you continue to stay sharp and relevant with all of the people that you lead in your organization?
Sure. So I do it all the time. I mean, I'm always curious. I sign up for newsletters. I listen to podcasts. I listen to podcasts from people that made it, right? I mean, I like inspirational podcasts from business owners or thought leaders in the industry that made it big, that they are successful and they give good advice. So I definitely listen. I read books. I get inspired by people. It is constantly, I listen to my books on Audible all the time. I think I got upgraded in terms of I didn't know that they had ranks there, but I see the notification saying, oh, you got upgraded to this one. I go okay, I wonder what the next one is.
Yeah.
And, so I read a lot, I listen a lot, I talk to people, very curious. And I think that is very important, is to continue to be curious and ask and find. And I always make it a point of learning something new every single day. It's like if a day goes by and I didn't learn something new, then I try by the end of the day to either, research a new tool or do something like that, because I think it's really important to do that.
Very good. Adi, thank you so much for your time. It's so valuable. I thank you for sharing it with me and our audience today. I know that you've said lots of things that I've scribbled some notes down that I've got even more questions about. But everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate you listening. We're dropping these once a week now. And so check back with us next week, and we'll have more incredible guests on each and every week, just like we did today with Adi. And so thank you so much again, and hope everyone creates a wonderful week.
Thank you, Austin.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Multiply You podcast. You'll see us again soon when you subscribe for future episodes.